So, what is the Babirusa? The Babirusa is a mammal from the order of Artiodactyla. This means it is an even-toed ungulate, meaning it has an even pair of toes. Within this order, it falls in the Cidia family, the family of pigs. The Babirusa has formed its own genus of Babirusa and has 4 separate species: the northern Sulawesi Babirusa, the Togian Babirusa, or the hairy Babirusa, otherwise known as the Buru, Moluccan or Golden, and the Bola, Batu. But what does Babirusa mean? Well, it means pig deer in Malaysian, Babi meaning pig and Rusa meaning deer, as called by its slender body and tusks resembling antlers. The Babirusa lives in tropical rainforests, achieving high levels of rainfall and high temperatures of around 28 to 30 degrees. They live in Wallacea, the transition zone between Australia and Asia as the 2 continents collided, specifically living on the archipelago of Indonesia on the islands of Sulawesi, Togian, Buru, Mango and Talabu. Sulawesi is the 11th largest island in the world. It is twice the size of Portugal and the same size as Missouri, the 21st largest US state. Sulawesi has numerous large lakes like Lake Poso, Matunu and Tuwutu. These are large lakes are biological hotspots containing a wide range of endemic species. However, there is another more important ecosystem. These are called the mineral licks. The mineral licks contain a high amount of minerals like calcium, potassium and sodium. These are vital for the Babirusa's growth, as they so frequently wallow in the mud. Often pregnant and lactating Babirusas will wallow here, as they need the calcium for vital bone development and milk. They get the minerals via licking the ground, and in addition to this, the alkaline nature of the ground helps neutralise their stomach during digestion, allowing them to consume more acidic-based plants. This is called geophagy. They also gather here for bathing and social reasons, the largest group of Babirusas being 13, but the largest aggregation of Babirusas is 46, consisting of multiple groups and individuals around dusk time. One of the largest mineral licks is the Adudu mineral lick. The Babirusas have been documented to use it most during dawn and dusk, on average spending 17 minutes wallowing in the mud. The Babirusa can grow up to 2 to 2.5 foot tall and 3 to 3.5 foot long. The heaviest recorded Babirusa is 90 kilograms, but has a biological maximum of 100 kilograms. Tusks, and what are they used for? Folklore states that the Babirusa use their tusks to hang on trees to sleep or spy on females. However, this is unfortunately not true, as their brittle tusks cannot support a 100 kilogram pig. The size of the tusks vary based on factors such as gender, species, age, and captivity. Firstly, the males will grow a very large tusk, whereas the females, they are either non-existent or not large enough to pierce through the snout. However, they both have the lower canine. Secondly, different species will grow at different rates, sizes and lengths. For example, the northern Sulawesi Babirusa has the largest tusk size. The age of the Babirusa affects how large it will be, as, much like fingernails, it grows with age. Lastly, captivity. As not only does this mean Babirusas will live for longer, they also don't wear their tusks down as much, as they lack the opportunity to erode them via natural causes. The overall growth is determined by a good blood supply, hence a healthy diet is so crucial. The largest recorded tusk length is that of the northern Sulawesi Babirusa, standing at 17 inches or 43.2 centimeters. In some rare cases, the tusk grows so long it penetrates its own skull, cutting its life short. This is why it is so important for the Babirusa to wear down its tusks. What are the tusks used for? One theory is that the tusks are used for fighting. However, we believe this is false, as when they do fight, they use a boxing method rather than a ramming. And as the tusks are shallow and brittle, they don't offer much support as an offensive tool either. Other theories state that it's used to protect the eyes in combat, and some say it's used to attract females. However, we just don't know. The Babirusa has been recorded to stand on its hind legs to gain access to food in higher up regions. The Babirusa is estimated to run at 18 to 25 miles per hour in short bursts. It has to be a strong swimmer in this swampy environment. Due to the Babirusa having a weak rostral bone, it uses its trotters a lot for digging rather than using its snout for upturning the soil. Despite the Babirusa being an omnivore, it has a heavily plant-based diet consisting of fruit and leaves and foliage. On rare occasions, the Babirusa has been documented to consume invertebrates, small vertebrates, and occasionally carrion. In even rarer cases, they've been documented to commit cannibalism. As the Babirusa consumes lots of vegetation, it has developed a rather unique digestive system amongst other suids. The Babirusa's stomach has a relatively neutral pH of 5.3 to 6.4, whereas other pig species have a pH of 1 to 4. They both have one stomach, but the Babirusa relies on fermentation rather than a strong pH to break down food. As cellulose is hard to break down via strong acidity, they use fermentation to break it down. This means they need to create optimum conditions for the bacteria to thrive. It does this via the cardiac gland that takes up 70% of the stomach's surface area. This secretes a mucus that provides a stable habitat for bacteria to thrive. In addition to this, the cardiac gland has a honeycomb shape. This increases the surface area and allows more bacterial colonies to form. This, combined with a fairly neutral pH, means that bacteria can flourish. The Babirusa has one stomach consisting of two regions. The first and larger region is where the fermentation happens, where it has the cardiac gland that takes up 70% of the surface area and has the honeycomb structure. The second zone, which is far smaller, is where acid is. This contains the gastric gland and has a pH of 1.5 to 3.5, making it far more similar to its pig relatives. This makes the Babirusa the only pig species that is a non-ruminant foregut fermenter. The Babirusa has small litters of around 1 to 2 piglets weighing around 1 to 2 pounds. The gestation period takes around 21 to 24 weeks. In addition to this, they have 2 nipples for the small litter sizes. This is attributed to the low number of natural predators. There's a few restricting pythons and crocodiles, but they often keep to themselves, unless snacking on a young Babirusa. They take around 1 to 2 years to reach sexual maturity and fully weaned by 6 to 8 months old. They live for around 10 to 12 years in the wild, but in captivity can reach up to 24. The oldest living recorded Babirusa was at 22.9 years of age. However, some sources state 31 and 26. But this isn't official and has no evidence to back this up, hence it is likely false and a misunderstanding. Both male and female Babirusas construct nests. These are made up of lots of vegetation and litter, and are often propped against trees, rocks, or in shallow depressions. Babirusas will have one nest and don't live a nomadic lifestyle, although they will set up resting spots within the area. As pigs give birth lying down, a pregnant Babirusa will construct a larger nest. This is to ensure that they can give birth and raise young there. These are reportedly 2 meters long and contain lots of cushioning for warmth and comfort. These are called farrowing nests. Babirusas are diurnal and are most active during dawn and dusk, and spend rest of the day sleeping or wallowing. Male Babirusas tend to travel in solitary rather than in groups. However, some have been documented to travel in these bachelor groups. These won't exceed 3 males, and they often don't coincide with breeding season. Although they breed all year round, it generally peaks between January and August, as this means that offspring will grow up during the wet season when food is more abundant. Females tend to form larger matriarchal groups of 5 to 13 individuals. This is done for safety and to look after the young. After a year or so, the young males will leave the mother, however the young females will remain. The northern Sulawesi Babirusa lives in northern and central Sulawesi. Its status is vulnerable and has a population of roughly 10,000. This is the second largest Babirusa species, being smaller than that of the Togian and larger than the Buru. But all Babirusas generally stay in the range of 43 kilograms up to 100. However, it possesses the longest tusks of any Babirusa species. They specifically curve backwards and spread out, and tend to be the thickest. They have very sparse body hair and appear practically naked. The tail appears practically hairless as well, matching its body. The Togian Babirusa lives on the Togian Islands and is the most endangered of all the present Babirusa species, and has an estimated population of 500 to 1,000. This is the largest of the Babirusa species, with the heaviest recorded at 90 kilograms, but with a biological maximum of 100. They may possess the smallest tusks of any living species, but they are unique as they converge and tend to be the most slender. The Togian tends to have shorter and more sparse hair than that of the golden Babirusa, that then has more than the northern Sulawesi. Also has a slightly lighter underbelly than that of other species. Its tail has a more developed tuft, but still relatively hairless in comparison to the Buru. The Buru Babirusa lives in the islands of Buru, Mangal and Tadabu. Its status is vulnerable and has an estimated population of 5,000. This is the smallest of all the Babirusa species. It tends to have the second largest of the tusks, and they uniquely curve upwards then backwards. It possesses a thick fur coat, earning it its name of golden and hairy Babirusa. Its tail matches the coat by having the thickest tuft of all the species. The Bola Batu Babirusa used to live in south and central Sulawesi, however its status is now extinct and went extinct presumably 12,000 years ago, although some people still hold on to the fact it's alive today, and others saying it went extinct in the 1600s, although there is no proof for this. We presume it was a similar size to that of the northern Sulawesi. They are thought to have the second largest tusk of any Babirusa species, and they curved upwards than backwards. It is difficult to tell what the Bola Batu would have looked like, but we presume it was more similar to that of the Togian in northern Sulawesi, despite its tusk having the same upward and backward motion as the Buru. The Babirusa is struggling because of habitat loss as it is cleared for logging, palm oil mining and urbanisation. Populations end up becoming fragmented and isolated, causing a lack in genetic diversity, meaning they are more likely to suffer from inbreeding and diseases. Despite the legal protection from the Indonesian government has offered since 1931 to protect these unique pigs, they are still hunted because they are seen as pests who are invading the encroaching farmland, and they are obviously hunted for bushmeat and for the trademark tusks. What is being done to protect these pigs? Lots of legislation has been made to make it illegal to hunt them. Also, rangers help patrol protected areas like the Batu Wildlife Sanctuary, which takes up 33,000 hectares. They also help educate local communities to help protecting them rather than hunt them, and numerous camera traps are set up to record and monitor the population. Numerous organisations are involved like Action Indonesia and Chester Zoo. They help with breeding programs and direct involvement in Sulawesi and Togian, as the Togian Babirusa is under immense pressure as a species to survive. This ancient pig species has existed for around 10 to 19 million years, making it the oldest living pig species, and thanks to its protection it should thrive for many more.